Do you think some people who are math people and logical, they're conservative? Do you think people that are born more with creative right brain, they're liberal? And then maybe even some of the zodiac. I'm curious to know what you'll say about zodiac. Is there certain people where you'll see patterns to say that guy is independent, he knows how to entertain both ideas, and then say, here's what I think we need to be doing. So, and then negative and positive, are there people that you believe are born negative or positive? Like, is there such a thing as a crap magnet? Somebody that just can't help themselves? They can't be saved? Do you believe in that? I do believe we have nature that we're born with. And I look at a lot of different patterns to understand what makes somebody tick, not just one. I use Chinese medicine as one to notice, is this person more water? Are they more wood? Each of those qualities. You're kind of born with certain things. If you're wood driven, as an example in Chinese medicine, you're a pioneer, you're driven, you push. This will be a very strong one for you, for example. That wood person has got to grow and they face challenges with more intensity. Every one of these also under stress or in a negative state, their positives can become a negative. Those people get angry very easily if things don't move forward, right? Steve Jobs would be a perfect example of that. If you know Steve Jobs, he was brutal, but he was committed to the outcome, whatever it takes. If you get around somebody who's fire driven, this is someone who's always joking, super optimistic, everything's funny. Some people are irritated by them because they're cracking up even when talking about something serious, right? But fires burn. They have tremendous energy, but they also burn out quickly. One of the things they have physiologically, because Chinese medicine treats everyone differently based on their constitution, is that if they don't eat, they get hangry. My wife is a fire, by the way. I've got very strong wood and a lot of strong fire. She has this tremendous energy and excitement, but we don't go anywhere without food because we know what's going to happen, right? The sweetest person on earth is going to become crazy. If you're more earth, you're less extroverted, you're the peacekeeper, you care about everybody getting along, harmony in the community. My second strongest is actually earth, because that's how I build communities. That's what I do. That's why I care as deeply as I do. Then some people are metals. By the way, these are based on the seasons. They just look at fall in two levels, the beginning of fall and the end of fall. The beginning is earth, the end is metals. Metals are very, very precise. Everything has to be a very specific way. They're very elegant in their delivery. They think things through very specifically. The challenge for them is if it doesn't go exactly that way, they can get very frustrated and experience a lot of grief. Then there's water. Water is like the philosopher, the person who loses themselves. We all have these qualities, but the question is, which one is strongest in you? For example, understanding those qualities is just one typology I use. I use dozens. That helps me know that in my life, my wife is fire, so I know that this is how she burns. I don't get upset by it. I don't think she should be like me. If I have a son, which I do, who is more earth, he's not going to be as driven as me. I used to think he had to have the same drive. Jay is unbelievable. He has a heart of gold and works hard. He's an unbelievable coach. You could say he's a sweet guy. He's got earth, right? He can fire off his wood, but it feels a little unnatural for him. My other son is fire. He's always cracking up. Each of my kids is different. My wife couldn't carry, so we had a woman who's been with us for 12 years, a dear, dear friend who traveled with us everywhere. Her name is Mary, and Mary is part of our family. She carried our latest child because my wife couldn't, so we are a family. We didn't send her away. Yes, she's our surrogate, but we kept her. If I die, if Sage dies, she's the person who ends up with our child. That's how deep it is. She's very much a water person, so if we want to go to a movie, I'm going to escape, I want to take off, I check the time of the movie, and I go. But then I'm like, where's Mary? She got caught up in something. I used to get frustrated about it. Now I anticipate it. Mary's going to get lost. So I let her know it's 15 minutes earlier. I set those reminders and don't get upset about it. My point is, I could give you a dozen of these examples. This is only one example where understanding people's nature allows you to empower them most, not by making them be like you. That's the problem people have with their kids. How many kids do you have? 4 of them. I know, I'm sure you don't have a favorite kid, but do you have an easier kid? Yes, I do. Isn't the easiest one more like you? Well, the one that's most like me is super competitive, but I don't have a challenge with any one of them. That's great. I'll tell you, my oldest one is purely into politics and debate. He devours books. He just finished a book on Thomas Sowell, 600 pages. He'll go through Atlas Shrugged, The Fountainhead. He just powers through it. The other one is a sports guy. He trains every day for 3 or 4 hours for soccer. He's got straight A's. His worst grade is a 93. He's extremely independent and prepared. My 2 girls, the youngest one is 3, and she's the most charming, charismatic out of the entire family. My wife would tell you, my oldest son has a side of my personality and a side of hers. My youngest son has a lot of me in him. He always wants to be around me. The one most like you is usually the easiest to influence because you try to influence them the way you were influenced. If you clean your room, what worked for you, you'll do with that kid, and they'll respond. The other one might need a different approach. They might not respond the same way. Most people are good at influencing people who are like themselves. To influence another person, you have to know what already influences them. Now, regarding salespeople, here's a question. Can you take a very non-social person and make them a great salesperson? Could they do well in a sales job? You can make them a 7. Can I make them a 9 or 10 naturally, like someone who's comfortable with it? Probably not. They could probably hit a 9 for a short period when they're really hungry and driven, but long term, the answer is no. It doesn't match their nature. If you take someone very social and make them an accountant, can they do a good job? Yes. Will they do it long term? No. They'll go out of their minds. They need to be around people. You have to match the nature of the person to the job rather than saying they're the wrong person.